Awa na, manok. Bunot ng manok ron. Ano?
Hindi na siya mukhahin na itong...
It began as a swirl of clouds in the western Pacific, a name many didn't expect to remember. But within days, Typhoon Kalmaegi, locally known as Typhoon Tino, turned into a destructive force that tore through the central Philippines, leaving behind shattered homes, stranded families, and heartbreaking stories of survival.
Ito, may rescue diri sa phase 3. Maluoy taon mo na namin sa rooftop tanan.
As of early November 2025, the country is once again facing the painful aftermath of a powerful tropical system, one that's being called the worst to hit the Visayas region this year. Shortly after midnight on November 4th, Typhoon Kalmaegi made landfall over Silago in southern Leyte. Winds roared across the coast, reaching speeds of up to 130 kilometers per hour, with gusts near 180. Within hours, rain was falling in relentless sheets, rivers overflowed, and power lines snapped under the pressure of the storm. Authorities had been monitoring the system closely, issuing repeated warnings in the days before landfall. But even with preparations in place, the scale of Kalmaegi's impact stunned local communities. Roads vanished under floodwaters. Trees were uprooted. Entire neighborhoods lost power as the storm carved a path through the Visayas region. By the morning after landfall, reports began to pour in, and the picture grew grim. At least 26 people were confirmed dead, with dozens more missing or injured. Many of the victims were trapped inside their homes as water levels rose faster than they could escape. In one heartbreaking case, rescuers in Leyte found an elderly couple clinging to the roof of their house, surrounded by debris. They had been stranded there for nearly 10 hours before help arrived. Across the region, similar stories emerged. Families signaling for help from rooftops, children being carried through chest-deep floodwaters, and vehicles floating down what used to be city streets. Before the typhoon hit, the Philippine government had ordered the evacuation of nearly 387,000 residents from high-risk areas. That swift action likely saved countless lives. Schools and gymnasiums became temporary shelters, while local officials coordinated relief operations around the clock. However, rescue teams still struggled to reach some areas due to washed-out bridges and blocked roads. Helicopters were deployed to drop food, water, and medicine into isolated communities. Along the coastal zones, boats were used to pull people from submerged houses, many of which had only their rooftops visible above the muddy water. The country's armed forces joined local responders in these efforts, highlighting the scale of the emergency response. Yet, for many survivors, uncertainty remains. Power outages continue, communications are down in several provinces, and hundreds of families have no idea when or if they can return home. The Philippines is no stranger to tropical cyclones. Sitting in the Pacific's typhoon belt, it experiences around 20 storms each year. But for those living in central regions, still recovering from past disasters, Kalmaegi was another cruel test of endurance. In Cebu and Bohol, residents described scenes that felt all too familiar. Howling winds, flooding streets, and the eerie darkness that follows when power grids fail. In southern Leyte, storm surges pushed seawater inland, flooding coastal roads and fish farms. For many, the emotional toll has been just as heavy as the physical destruction. We prepared, we evacuated, but nothing could stop the water, said one mother interviewed by local reporters. All we can do now is start over, again. As Kalmaegi continues its west-northwest path, forecasters say it has moved across the Sulu Sea and is expected to approach the South China Sea in the coming days. Meteorologists note that warm ocean waters could allow the system to regain some strength before it gradually weakens over open water. But even as it moves away, the danger isn't over. Authorities are warning of continued heavy rain, flash floods, and landslides in the central and southern parts of the country. Coastal residents are being advised to stay away from the shorelines, as rough seas and storm surges could persist long after the typhoon's center has passed.
Awa ninyo guys, oh. So, tanawa gi.
Ito, may rescue diri sa phase 3. Maluoy ang taon mo.
Kalmaegi's effects have rippled across nearly every aspect of life. Airports temporarily shut down as flights were canceled or diverted. Ferry services were suspended, stranding travelers and delaying shipments of essential goods. Power companies are working non-stop to restore electricity to thousands of homes left in darkness. In some towns, water supply lines have been damaged, leaving families dependent on emergency distribution trucks. Schools remain closed in several provinces as classrooms are being used as evacuation shelters. Agriculture, one of the Philippines' most vulnerable sectors, has also taken a hit. Flooded rice fields, damaged coconut trees, and ruined fishing equipment have left many farmers worried about how they'll recover their livelihoods. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has ordered a nationwide mobilization of emergency funds and relief materials. He urged local governments to prioritize safety, coordinate effectively, and ensure that aid reaches the hardest-hit communities. The National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, NDRRMC, has been providing hourly updates, emphasizing that rescue and relief remain the top priorities. Volunteers and NGOs have joined the efforts, providing food packs, blankets, and hygiene kits to evacuees. International agencies are also monitoring the situation closely, with offers of assistance coming from neighboring countries and humanitarian organizations. In the face of yet another disaster, stories of bravery and solidarity shine through. Videos shared online show residents forming human chains to rescue stranded neighbors. In flooded towns, community groups have turned local schools into makeshift kitchens, serving hot meals to evacuees. These acts remind the world of the Filipino spirit, one that refuses to give up, no matter how many storms come their way. Still, Kalmaegi's destruction underscores a deeper concern: the growing intensity of tropical storms linked to climate change. Warmer seas and shifting weather patterns are making storms stronger, wetter, and more unpredictable. A challenge not just for the Philippines, but for countries across the region. As the skies begin to clear, the real work begins: rebuilding homes, restoring hope, and recovering from loss. For the survivors of Typhoon Kalmaegi, life will not return to normal overnight. But in every rescue, every helping hand, and every rebuilt home, there's a quiet reminder that resilience runs deep in this nation. Nature's fury can be devastating, but it also reveals humanity's strength. So as we watch these communities rise once again, let's remember: preparedness saves lives, compassion sustains recovery, and collective action is our best defense against the storms of tomorrow. If you'd like to help those affected by Typhoon Kalmaegi, check the links in the description for verified relief organizations operating in the Philippines. Even small contributions can make a huge difference in helping families rebuild after the storm. And if you found this update informative, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It helps bring more attention to the people and places that need the world's eyes and empathy the most.